Hello everyone and welcome to another episode of Patches Education. And yes, this is pretty quick as a follow-up to my previous video, but that's because I've left you guys in the dark for about 3 weeks or something. So yeah, just want to make up for that. Anyway, Liam or Liam, not sure how you pronounce that. I already told you guys I suck at pronouncing names, so if I ever pronounce any of your names wrong, blame it on that. I just suck at that in general. Anyway, he asked me, do you have any tips on how to start a band? And I'm just going to take this as a very broad subject, and I'm going to include everything in it that comes with it, because there is a lot more to starting a band than just finding musicians and starting to jam along. I mean, the first step you have to take is just become good at what you do. And you don't have to be the best. You don't have to be like fucking representative and stuff, and when you start a band, you don't necessarily have to be great at it, but just generally be good. Because for every bad musician, there's always a replacement that's just a little better. So yeah, that's kind of the first step you need to take. Just whether you play guitar or bass or drums or you're a vocalist, or anything else, just try to become as good at it as you can at that point. Now, how to become good at an instrument, of course, it's an entire subject on its own, and I'm gonna try not to get too much into that, but first of all, just find a good teacher, or B, a good online learning method. And I know there are like a lot of great, especially guitarists, out there that have like learned everything just by themselves, but you always learn more from just finding some free online guide, whatever thing, than trying to figure it out on your own. So start with the instrument. Of course, don't immediately take lessons, but at some point you're just gonna need some kind of help to just basically get better at it and be more motivated and stuff. So that's a very important step. Another step, which is especially if you're like considering to join a metal band, is very important, that you learn how to play standing up. That goes, of course, for the guitarists and bass players amongst us, because a very important part of becoming a good band, or at least an acceptable, alright band, is to, give a stage performance. Just do something to really entertain people. Because you're not just going to a show to hear good music, because then you could also just put on a CD. But you're also going to a show because you want to see what the artist does, like on stage. And that's a very important step. If you want to be a good guitarist or a bass player in a band, learn how to play standing up. Because you cannot sit in your rehearsal area. At least in most cases, you're not just gonna sit down and play. No, you're gonna be standing. And well, of course, when you're performing, when you're on stage, you can't really sit either. So those two things are probably the most important ones to get down before you start looking for a band. And when it comes to vocalists and drummers, you two are sort of exceptions, because you can't really properly train vocals and drumming while you're at home. Well, at least in most cases. Like, you can't really give it your all when you're singing, because it's gonna be too loud and it's going to annoy people. And well, in most cases, people either don't have a drum set at home or don't have a space where they can actually play without making the neighbors want to kill them. So drummers and vocalists, you guys are probably going to learn most things when you're in the band. But for everyone else, get your shit down before you start looking for other musicians. So yeah, there's that. And now comes the second step, finding your band. There are billions of ways to find other musicians, and other musicians who like the same music as you do. But it's really going to come down to how well you look and how well you present yourself. There are, of course, like forums on the internet and Facebook groups where a lot of people are looking for musicians. But, in the time when I was still looking for another band, I went to these forums, and some people just came off so fucking ridiculous. Like, just guys who said like, yeah man, I'm 13 years old, but I can already play everything you can come up with, and Like people comparing themselves to other guitarists. Like, yeah, man, I play exactly like Alexi Lio or like Herman Lee or I don't know, stuff like that. And as soon as you're going to present yourself in such a way and you cannot live up to those expectations, then just expect yourself to be kicked out of the band the moment you join them. That's just, I mean, we've had that with another band of mine where someone made claims like that, like, yeah, man, I can play like everyone you want me to play, and I can do everything, and I've been doing it for 15 years now and stuff. And then he came in the studio and he just completely fucked up. And like, if he'd just said like, yeah, guys, I've had a couple of years of lessons, but I really want to learn and I really want to get better, and I'd love to just explore, the possibilities with your band, then we wouldn't have kicked him out the first day. We would have probably said like, well, dude, we're just going to give you a couple of weeks and, try to catch up with the level. And so just give yourself that opportunity. If you're not the best guitarist or the best bass player or the best vocalist out there, just acknowledge that fact and tell the other musicians. Just go like, guys, I really want to learn and I want to get better, and I'd love to get better while being in your band. And some bands don't want that. Of course, obviously some bands just want to find that one guy who is going to make their band complete and bam, done, But there are a lot of other bands that just want to be in the studio, that just want to casually write songs. And for instance, if you're a guitarist, there are always lead guitarists and rhythm guitarists. And lead guitarists are mostly focused on being good. And rhythm guitarists, I mean, there are a lot of exceptions, but rhythm guitarists mostly are focused on making the picture complete, just giving it that layer that it needs to have to be a complete song. So if you're not the best guitarist out there, and you're also not planning to join some kind of technical death band or some kind of extreme groove metal band, then just tell them like, yo guys, I can play 4 chords and I can do some power chords and stuff, and they'll just say like, alright man, play this and that. And you're gonna learn a lot of stuff from just playing in a band. No matter how shitty the stuff is you have to play, no matter how simple the drum beats are, you're gonna learn most things by just, being with other musicians. So just tell people, if you're not that great, just tell them, guys, I'm not that great. Alright man, we'll teach you. Alright man, we'll try to slow it down a bit. So yeah, that's very important to let people know that. But then there is another way to start a band, or well, to find a band. And another way to find a band is to start a band. If you're going to really start a band, you're going to need to find musicians as well. And you're also going to come across all these different people, these people that claim like, yeah man, I'm the best guy around there. And there are also going to be the people that say like, yeah, I'm not that great, but I want to learn. And I would just, highly recommend to look for either the latter, like the last one, or something in between. You don't want to have that one guy that claims to be the best guy around, because first of all, it's probably not true, and second of all, it's no fucking fun playing in a band with a guy like that. Seriously. So if they don't have anything to show on like their resume, like, yeah, I've been in this band and that band and that band, if they don't show that, then just leave it be, because they're probably just lying. As simple as that. If they, however, have a resume like that, then just check out those bands, see if they're really as good as they claim to be, and you can always, give it a shot. However, next to all these forums and stuff, there are other ways to finding band members. Mostly, like in most cases, people that are in one band are always looking for another band. No one just has one genre they like and nothing else. So, for instance, myself, I play in this, well, you've all probably heard State of Negation by now. It's some sort of a trashy groove metalcore kind of combination, but I'm still looking, well, not anymore because I have too many bands right now, but while I had only State of Negation, I was still looking for a kind of a power heavy metal band. And the same goes for some of my guitarists. Like they've also auditioned for other bands, and just most of the people I know that have one band still want another band. So if you want that, if you're like looking for a band yourself, just send a message to people that are already in a band. You can always try, you can always ask, and mostly if they play like in, I don't know, for example, death metal band, they're probably not looking for another death metal band, because that's probably gonna get boring at some point. But if you're doing something different from what they're doing, then a lot of them will just like to join you. So just go to, I don't know, just band nights, jam nights, go to spots where there are some rehearsal areas, and you'll always see some guys walking there with long hair or leather jackets or stuff like that, and just walk up to them like, yo guys, what band are you in? Well, this and that. Alright, well, would you like to join my band, which is going to be this genre or whatever, because probably the most important thing about starting a band or joining a band is just giving everything a shot. Take every single opportunity to find people, because this is just the most important step. Getting all those people together that are actually going to think the same way, that are going to want to do the same thing, that's gonna be fucking difficult. And also you have to be able to get along with them, because you're probably going to spend hours and hours every week in a very small confined space just with these guys. So yeah, you're gonna need to look for some people you feel like being around that long. So yeah, that's probably the step about finding the band members. Starting the band, you're gonna have to pick a name, you're gonna have to pick a genre, which is, by the way, also very important, especially the genre thing. Pick something you really want to play, pick something you really feel like you can connect with, and at a later point in the band's life, you can always change it around a little bit. But if you're going to start as a thrash metal band, just make sure that everyone actually wants to be in a thrash metal band. So yeah, once you've found these people, then there's going to be the third step, and this is going to be a very important step, so pay attention. Making your set list. To make a set list, first find your rehearsal area, and this can be in a friend's garage, this can be in a living room, this can be in a professional rehearsal area. I, by the way, highly recommend the third one, because when you're going to rehearse your songs, you're just going to need to put up the volume. And it's not because louder is better or anything, but you're going to need to be at least as loud, if not a little louder, than the drummer. And you really can't rehearse with an electric drum kit. That's not gonna be the same, it's not gonna sound as good, and it's really difficult to write songs without having hearing the actual sound of what the actual end product is going to sound like. So you need to find some place, first of all, where just the gear is there, because you're gonna need cabinets, you're gonna need tops, you're gonna need a drum kit, you're gonna need a PA system for the vocalist. So look for this place. Make sure you're not gonna bother anyone if you're going to have a rehearsal every week, and make sure you can properly put up the volume so that you'll be at the same as the drummer, because the drummer cannot put his volume down, and the guitarists and bassists and vocalists, they can put their volume up. So that's going to be important. It's also going to be important you have your actual gear, because some rehearsal areas sometimes have like guitars for rent, or they sometimes provide a microphone with the rehearsal area, but in a lot of other cases you're just gonna need to bring your own shit, and well, you probably understand why that's very important, hey? Anyway, when you have this all set, when your rehearsal area is set, and you're ready to start, and you're gonna have to start writing songs, and this is just, well, if there's not like a clear role, whatever it's called, if it's not clear what everyone has to do, then there are just going to be a lot of problems. So it's very important that all from the start you decide, all right, this guy is going to write, the musical part, and this guy is going to write the lyrics. And in a lot of cases, it's mostly where the lead guitarist, writes the songs and the vocalist writes the lyrics. But in some other cases, people want to combine stuff. People want to, everyone wants to do their own part, and it's so fucking important that you're not going to be a bitch about that, because I've known a lot of vocalists that if you suggest something like, dude, could you put this and that in your lyrics, or could you do that there instead of doing this or whatever, and they're just going to be like, no man, I'm the vocalist, so I decide what I'm going to sing, and fuck you. And it's no fun being in a band like that. And same goes for writing music. When the guitarist's all like, yeah man, this is the new riff, and then the drummer is like, dude, could you please change those notes around, or could you like do it in a different speed or a different tempo or whatever, then don't be a bitch about that. Because it's your part and you play it, but you're also in a band with people, and everyone needs to agree on what the music is going to be like, because no one wants to be in a band where they don't play the music they like. So yeah, just make it clear who does what, and have band meetings once in a while to just talk about shit. And something I find the best way to write songs is probably just record everything. Buy an interface like this or something else. Just get any kind of interface where you can just plug in your guitar, plug in the USB and play something, so that you can send back and forth all your ideas. And this is the best way to shape a song, because if you're going to stand there in the rehearsal area and you only have 3 hours because you've paid for 3 hours, as an example, it's gonna be a bitch to sit there like, yeah, should I do this? Well, no, change it to that. Yeah, should I do this? Yeah, no, maybe a little different. And if you only have 3 hours for that, then that's going to suck, because it's just gonna cost you so fucking much for stuff you could as easily do at home. So get your songs ready. Make sure that when you're actually rehearsing the songs, when you're actually playing it with the entire band, then you have to do it at a proper volume. And like I already said, in the first step, do everything standing up. Even the best thing is do everything while headbanging. Don't just stand there, because if that's going to be, the thing you're gonna do, if you're going to stand there every week just standing still, playing your parts, then it's not gonna change when you step up on a stage. If you haven't practiced, headbanging while playing guitar, then you're not gonna be able to pull it off the first time you get up on a stage. So very fucking important. Practice that, even in your room. We've all seen like this stereotypical thing where someone stands with a hairbrush and just singing in front of his mirror and dancing and stuff. But just do this. If you're a vocalist or if you're a guitarist, just go stand like in front of your mirror and just try out shit, because it's half of your performance is going to be what you do on the stage, and the other half is going to be the music. But the stage performance, it's just as important. So I think that's probably it for making your set list. Just write songs, do it properly. Don't be a bitch about it. That's probably the most important thing you're gonna have to take from the third step. Just don't be a bitch about writing music. Just take all the time you need and make it so that everyone likes it. So, alright, done with the third step, and on to the fourth step, which is taking it on the road. So you have your set now, and now you need to perform it at some place. And this can be a bitch. The first gig, for some reason, this is just from my experience and from what I've seen in bands, the first gig is going to be bloody fucking easy to find, because you're just gonna send like 10 or 20 different venues a message like, yo guys, we just started and we want to get our first gig, and can we do it at your place? And probably everyone is going to say yes. But after that, that's when it starts to be a fucking bitch to find more gigs. So the most important thing probably is befriend other bands, because when you know become friends with other bands, you can exchange gigs. Oh, we can play in your at your show, and then we'll make sure we'll fix a show for you guys too. That's probably the best way to find shows. Another way is, of course, to just, you know, if you play a very good set at your first gig, then you'll probably already have someone walking up to you that night like, hey man, do you want to play there and there? And of course you're gonna say yes, because the very important thing is don't ever turn down a gig. I mean, if it's going to cost you like hundreds of dollars then, or euros or whatever, then yeah, okay, you can consider saying no. But you know, the being a band, starting a band, and especially performing with your band is going to be expensive at first. It's gonna take probably years to actually earn something, and it's going to be, well, probably a decade before you've earned everything back you've spent on your band the first couple of years. So it's, yeah, that's gonna be a bitch, but don't be a bitch about it yourself. I think that should be the title of this fucking video. Don't be a bitch about anything, because that's just so bloody fucking important about being in a band. So just take every opportunity, and yeah, like I already said, just when you want to fix a gig, don't send one message, but send 10 or 20 at a time. I mean, when you've made your standard message like, hey, we're band name and we play band genre, and we'd love to play at your venue because it's going to be awesome, and we're going to give away a really awesome show, and we're going to tell everyone to drink beer, so you know you'll probably make some profit out of it, and etc, etc, etc. Then just copy paste it and send it to every single fucking venue you know. Because just like if you try it 100 times and only 10 people respond, and still you have those 10 people. You still have 10 gigs, and that's already fucking rare to just get gigs at all. I mean, it's difficult, but just one final time, don't be a bitch about it. If you get any fucking opportunity to play anywhere, do it. Seriously. So I guess these 4 steps are kind of the only steps needed to really start a band and to really get it, you know, like I said, on the road, start performing and stuff. But after this happens, after you've done all of these things, then most issues are going to pop up then. Because there's going to be, you know, band fights. There's going to be money problems. At some point you're going to hit some sort of a twilight zone where you're like too advanced to play at small gigs, but you're not big enough to play at bigger gigs. And in spite of everything I just said about not being a bitch, you're gonna forget that at that point. I mean, that always happens. Every single band hits the fucking twilight zone, and you're just gonna think we're too bloody good to play this show, and you're just gonna cancel. You're gonna start canceling everything you see. And there are also ways to, you know, stop this. But for now, I'm going to leave it at these 4 steps, mainly because this is going to be just the first episode of you know, a couple of videos I'm going to do about this subject, and this is really the proper start. Like if you don't have a band yet, if you're an okay player of anything, guitar, bass, vocals, drums, keyboards, whatever, just follow these steps. Look for a band, start writing your stuff. Probably it's going to take a year to actually reach the end of step 4, but just let it take its time. You know, no any band formed overnight. It's always taken longer. It's always taken thought processes. So don't think it's your fault for it going slow, because nothing's going to happen that first year. And you know, maybe at the end of the first year you're gonna have your gigs and you're gonna do your things, and you might, you know, do some proper real shows at some sort of venue, but let it take its time. You'd rather have, you know, 1 good performance than play 10 gigs while you fucking suck, because then no one wants to have you around anymore. So yeah, I'm gonna leave it at this. I just want to make one more shout out this is going to be for the Dutch metalheads, and especially the ones who live around Haarlem. It's not going to be a shout out for any of my own bands. It's going to be a shout out for a sort of metal fest kind of thing that's been going on in Haarlem for a very long time. Heavy Out Haarlem, it's called. And this is going to be a very special edition, upcoming this Saturday, September 7th, I believe. It's going to be a massive show, Death versus Black. And you can probably all guess whose side I'm rooting for. Anywho, it's gonna be Sinister and Nailgun Massacre on the death metal side, against Sirit Gorgor and Dystopia on the black metal side, and it's gonna be a fucking awesome show. And it's going to be in the Patronaat in Haarlem. I'm going to be backstage. I'm also going to be in the venue. I'm going to do interviews with the guys. I'm probably gonna make this like death versus black metal show about it for, you know, next week or something. So yeah, for all the Dutch guys, just head over to the show. It's going to be bloody fucking awesome. And meet me up there, have a beer with me there. That'd also be bloody fucking awesome. And yeah, I guess that's it. And that's it for this episode as well. I hope you enjoyed watching this. I'm sorry if it's a bit scratty, but I filmed this in, well, probably about an hour or something. So, sorry. But I hope this also informed everyone enough about this subject. And I will see you all next time again.
1, 2, 3, 4